Well, thank you all so much for joining us this morning. I'm going to have to switch screens again. I apologize. So we're here to learn how to live a simplified life and saying yes to less in 2022. In our overscheduled, overconnected, overachieving world, we've bought the lie they've sold us that we can do it all. They've convinced us that we need to do more, have more, and be more. We're so weighted down that we often miss what's really, truly important in our lives. Do you feel held back and burdened by too much stuff, but don't know where to start? Do you have years of stuff and you're holding on to from the past and loads of things you're stockpiling for the future? Is the concept of leaner, freer living something you're curious about? So in this interactive program with professional organizer Eileen Reed, you will consider the impacts of clutter in every part of your life, explore our belief systems around what's enough, examine the benefits of a quest for less, and learn proven strategies you can use to simplify your life. Are you ready to break free and start living that simplified life? So Eileen Reed is the owner and COO, that's Chief Organizing Officer, of Simplified with Eileen Organizing. With a 25-year career in office management, sales training, and high-tech staffing, Eileen's organization skills have been honed by developing effective systems and repeatable processes to maximize time, function, and efficiency. So all 61 of us who are here live and those that will watch the recording later on, let's give a big virtual round of applause to Eileen for joining us here this morning. And Eileen, you can take it away. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Robert, and welcome everybody. I'm just thrilled that you're sharing your Friday morning before the big Snowpalooza is heading our way. So great to have 5 libraries worth of people tuning in. So I'm excited. I'm going to share my screen again and just tell you a little bit about me. So it's all, for me, saying yes to less is something that's really kind of at the core of the work I do. I work with both individuals and small businesses to really kind of inspire and guide and coach them how to live a more simplified life, a life of more simplicity and ease, a life with less. Now, that doesn't mean throwing everything you have out and just living like a minimal monk style life. No, it's really about choosing what really matters, what serves you, what serves your life, your space, your family, your business. You know, it's not about a life of most or a life of least. It's about a life of just right, just what's right for you. And I've had my business for about 12 years now. And I'm also very honored to have this be my 3rd time that Robert and the Tewksbury Library have reached out to have me present. So really grateful for that. The core of what work I do is really around what's enough and guiding them to decide. Again, it's not me deciding. It's not me coming in and saying, oh, Robert, you have 40 pairs of socks. Sorry, the rule is 10. No, it's always your choice. You decide what's enough for you, your family, your business, your space, your life, your calendar. You decide what's enough. And in the 12 years that I've worked with clients, I have been witness to just how suffocating and limiting and overwhelming and stifling life is when we keep piling on more and more. And I've also been witness to when we uncomplicate, under-engineer, unburden, simplify, just how much better life can be. Now, I believe that a simplified life kind of gives you the freedom to create a very full, abundant, and joyful life. But I am going to have to admit that I didn't always believe this. I didn't always buy into this. Like many of us, I was sort of on that, quest for more. So after graduating from college, I really quickly got swept up into the kind of corporate hamster wheel. I was a salesperson for a high-tech software and IT consulting company. Now, if any of you have been in sales, you can probably agree with me that it's hard. And the thing about sales and doing it for so long is that you're always grinding. You're always chasing sales quotas, goals. You're always chasing the money. You're always, told to, do more, work longer, work harder, get more clients, do more. And the thing is too, is that I might have been salesperson of the month in December, but then January, everybody's down at the bottom of the month, the mountain, and it's just this crazy clawing and climbing to try to get to the top. It was exhausting. Consuming hours were crazy. They were like, I could be talking with clients at 10:30 at night on the West Coast, or I just always felt like I was grinding. Now, I was in it for a long time because yes, there were definitely some great things about it. Like I made sick money. For 20 some odd years, 6 figures year over year. The money was great. And there were prizes and trips and awards. Here's a copy of a picture of me receiving Salesperson of the Year award in the middle there. Now, my husband and I, we bought all the stuff you're supposed to buy to make you happy. When I look back on all of that good stuff, like if I'm really honest, it was 5% of the time. 95% of the time, I was so stressed. I was so stressed that I got TMJ from grinding my teeth every night while I slept. And the dentist had to create this guard for me, this appliance to wear every night. I had a couple of like really scary racing heart episodes that landed me in the ER, and they did all the tests, and it was like anxiety. It was just overwhelmed. I had really high blood pressure. I got pneumonia because I was so run down. I was overweight. I was very sedentary, just working all the time. I had killer migraines. I had that crappy sleep. If anybody can relate, when you lay your head down and then at 3 o'clock in the morning, you're still awake because you can't shut your brain off. Like that was my world. And honestly, I think I kind of felt it was like this weird kind of badge of honor of like, hey, that's what you get when you're like a successful mover and shaker. And then my dad got sick very suddenly, and he had emergency surgery. It didn't go well. He ends up in the ICU with a trach. He can't speak. My 4 siblings, my mom and I were all there. And that whole experience of just still being so stuck in the work mode and like not really prioritizing my dad and his struggle, and I kept leaving to take calls, and it just like that whole thing, that it was just one of those sort of like aha moments or defining moments. I realized how precious life is and how precious time is. And it became really clear to me that this kind of hamster wheel that I was on in this corporate world, that's what's not what it's all about. It's not about the money, and it's not about the just endless hours, that there's more to life. There was more for me. And, I was the breadwinner for my family. I carried the insurance, but through that experience, I went to my husband and I said, I can't do this anymore. And we together made the decision that I would leave. I would quit my job at the high of my high, 6 figures, health insurance, and I would start Simplify with Eileen. And I really started with myself. with working on me as my first client. And I really got clear on what mattered, how I wanted my life to be, who I wanted in my life, letting go of all the stuff. You know, we had yard sales and donated a ton, and just to get out from under all the crap that was in the way. And it also allowed me to be much more present. And that was so important because a few months after my dad was in ICU, he passed away. So I needed to be so much more present for my mom. And I have to say, I mean, I love the life that I have built. I love the life that I've created. But I will say one thing, just one little caveat. I don't suggest to any of you that you like Monday morning quit your job and like haul a dumpster up to your house. Please don't. But I just wanted to share with you my experience, how I got here, talking about what I'm talking about. What I will suggest to you, however, is that you start listening to those little whispers from your soul. And sometimes they're screams from your body, like migraines, you know, heart palpitations, and listen and pay attention and really start to consider a life of more simplicity and ease, a life with less intentionally, and just see how much more of life actually comes into your world when you do that. So I just wanted to share with you my story, and let's go back here. Oops, slideshow. Okay, so slideshow from current. I'm going to stop that and try this one. All right, so does anybody remember the show? It was years and years ago. It was called Clean Sweep. I think it might have been on like TLC. Cute little Australian guy. Peter Walsh was the host. I loved that show. And he is one of the organizing industry's kind of thought leaders or subject matter experts. And he has this quote that I absolutely love. And it says that clutter is not just the stuff on your floor. Clutter is anything standing between you and the life you want to be living. And I think that's really powerful. And I really see that in a lot of the work with my clients. Now, there's lots of different kinds of clutter. Yes, there's the piles in the corner and the attic just, you know, crammed with stuff. But there are other kinds of clutter. There's cluttered obligations. Noise can be clutter. Brain clutter, that's stuff that kept me awake until 3 and 4 in the morning. There's relationship clutter. I mean, honestly, I did declutter some of my relationships. You know, some people who just didn't align with me anymore. They would be like, what? You're going to walk away from a sales career and start this little organizing thing? So if people don't support you or, you know, are aligned with you, declutter them. There's also cluttered schedules, calendars, obligations. There are cluttered finances. Do you know any of those people who have like 30 to 40 different credit cards? Oh, I got the TJX one, so I get the 5%, and I've got the LL Bean one. And like, it's almost like a full-time job managing all those credit cards and the payments and making sure you're not paying late and all that. So all these different kinds of clutter, those are a lot of the things that we work on when I'm with a client. And here's one thing that I have noticed in all my work with clients. Well, actually, it's two things. Two things I've noticed in all my years working with clients. One, almost without exception, they've got enough space. And almost without exception, they have too much stuff. So that creates a thriving business for me. Here's another, just to keep up with Peter Walsh, I've got my own quote, and that's this. I really do believe that it's less about organizing, like less about the perfect hanger, perfect bin, systems. It's really about having less to organize. And that's why I just embrace that whole say yes to less mantra, because when we have less and it's organized, like life is unbelievable. It's a game changer. Now, to illustrate this concept of mine, I want to have you participate in a little experiment. So I'm going to put something up on the screen. I'm going to ask you to take your finger and I'm going to ask you to connect some things, okay? So let's start here. So this is a series of 25 numbers, totally unorganized, willy-nilly, scattered all over the place. Take your finger and connect all of them in order, like 1 to 2, 2 to 3. See how you do. We'll take a couple of minutes. So start with 1. It's kind of in the top middle. Find 2, connect them all. See how you do. Where the heck is 5? I'm stuck on where the heck 5. Where's 5? All right, this could take a while, so let's just skip ahead for kicks. This is what it looks like all connected. Like, oh my God, that hurts my brain. Now, let's say, I don't know, let's say this represents your closet. You wake up in the morning, you fling open your closet, and it looks like that. And you're like, where is my blue shirt? Looking for my blue shirt, underneath, rummaging, foraging. Like that, immediately you're set off on the wrong foot. Like you've had a negative experience right out of the gate in the morning. On the next screen, there's going to be another series of numbers. I'd like you to do the exact same thing with your finger, okay? Let's take a look at this. Okay, go for it. Dang, that was easier. Now, same 25 numbers, you guys, but they're organized. So let's say I'm looking for my blue shirt in the morning. Maybe I just go to my shirt section and then poof, there's the blue guy. You know, much easier to get out the door. You're more productive. You're less overwhelmed, less anxiety. Nice. Now that I've got a third screen, I'd like you again, take your finger and connect these numbers. Bam, right? Okay, in this example, they're organized, but there are fewer. There are less numbers, not 25, just 10. So if I'm looking for my blue shirt, I'm going to go into my closet, which is not packed and wedged and hangers sticking out. I'm going to go to the shirt section and I'm going to go to the blue shirt section, which has only 3 blue shirts. And then, I mean, the world is ahead of me. I'm stepping out in a great frame of mind. I feel powerful. I feel productive. So that just is something to illustrate that when we have less and it's organized, everything's better. Now, here's the thing. The world we live in, it kind of is against us, right? So we live in a culture, a consumer-driven world that invites us to acquire and accumulate more and more, bigger, you know, the latest and greatest. Like if you've got an iPhone, I have an iPhone 8, like my husband's got the 13 Pro now. And it's just like, you know, I don't need to upgrade all the time. But, you know, the newest, the latest and greatest, the, you know, if 10 are good, you know, buy 50, value packs, all that. And it makes our lives more difficult because too much is too much. So here's a few stats. I love just kind of giving you some, credible data information that's, a little bit even outside of what I talk about. So some stats to kind of drive this all home. We consume twice as many material goods today as we did 50 years ago in the United States. Now, I don't know about you, but I think 50 years is a kind of relatively short time to double our consumption. In that same 50 years, the size of the average American home has tripled. Like, you see them everywhere, these McMansions, and there's like 4-car garages and, wings and, oh my gosh, I mean, they're huge homes. Also, studies show that on average, we have more televisions in our home than we have people living in the home. Now, also, 1 out of 10 Americans rent off-site storage. That's another thing that you see popping up everywhere, these self-storage, minute storage, extra space storage. It's the fastest growing segment of commercial real estate over the past 10 years. Now, what's super interesting is that of those 1 in 10 Americans renting off-site storage, they have basements, attics, and garages. So what does that suggest to you? I'd like to suggest we have too much stuff. And the other thing about all this stuff is that studies show that we burn on average 55 minutes, almost an hour a day, looking for things we know we have, but we can't find. Like, where's the clicker? Where are the snow shovels? Where's the beach umbrella? Where are the sleeping bags? There's so many things that get hidden under the mass accumulation of stuff that we have in our homes. So not only is too much, but I also believe that too big is too big. Now, I'm going to say it, and I hope, I don't care if like Costco or Big Lots or whatever hears me. I don't like these stores at all. For my clients, which my clients on average, it's usually like, a couple with 1 or 2 kids. That's kind of the average. These stores create a lot of problems. Like, if you have a warehouse yourself, maybe these things will work. Or if you have like 6, 7, or an extended family living, like, okay, maybe. But for most of my clients, they create problems. And the 2 big problems is, first of all, the cost of storing these mega oversized items. Where in blazes do you put the 48-pack of mega jumbo paper towels? Because they're not going to fit in your closet or your pantry. So you know where they end up? On the floor in the dining room, or in a hallway, or at the bottom of the stairs going down to the basement. Or you buy shelving for the garage for the overflow pantry. And then you go to Costco the next time and you're like, do we have extra paper towels? Maybe we should just pick another. So you bring home another one, and there it is. And you're like, oh crap, we did have paper towels. So now you've got like, 180 paper towels on these expensive shelving in the garage. And maybe that makes it even harder to put your car in the garage. I don't know. But just the ability to try and manage and store these things, it's a problem. The other problem is the cost of waste. And I see it almost every time with my clients. So for items like food or medicine, I really encourage not going this value pack route. So as an example, my client Laura, she and her husband had a girl and a boy, 2 kids in their early teens, and they were Costco people, proud Costco people. The dad would go every week. And I almost think it was like sort of like his way of showing love. Like, here, family, I love you. I got like the 90-pack of waters. And, every week they would go. And we cleaned out Laura's pantry. We literally took everything out on the island, and we started carving out the the things that nobody likes anymore, had expired, just were looking a little funky. And we threw out 2 green trash bags filled with food in that category. And honestly, Laura was almost on the verge of tears. She couldn't believe that in her house, that kind of waste happened. So they've decided not to go to Costco every week. They go once a month. And they've really scaled back. And here's the other thing, like, let's say you have a cold, right? And so you go there and you get the triple value pack of NyQuil. How often are you going to need it? What ends up happening is you use half of the one NyQuil and then the other 2 expire the next time you have a cold. So really think about, and I know we want to give our families choices and we love them and we want to get them what they want. But if we do it in a little bit more intentionally lean way, I think it'll end up serving everybody. Here's a stat too. The National Defense Council tells us that 40% of food in America goes uneaten every year. It either spoils at the source, the fields and the farms, or in the distribution channel in warehouses or trucks, and in our homes. So I thought it might be interesting to share with you some actual client projects. You can see examples of the transformations I've had with my clients. We'll just kind of talk about some of the before and after photos and the process, and then what my clients, got as a result from that. All right. So here we go. So one of the things, a great, reason for people calling me for help is that they're not using their space as intended. So garages are a prime example of that. I kind of consider them like sort of the island of misfit toys. So my clients, Kara and Bill, this is their garage. They had moved into the house 2.5 years prior, and you'll see there's a few boxes that still hadn't quite been unpacked and integrated in. But they did have some shelves, awesome. They even had some empty bins ready to go, awesome. So what we did is we used their bins and we labeled everything. Well, first of all, we culled, obviously. We went through and said, well, like, what is yesteryear? What's broken? What, if the kids are too old to use now. And then I'm big about reusing things. So you see this here, this gray thing ended up being perfect for the tall lacrosse and hockey sticks. So I'm not a big fan of racking up a huge bill at Container Store and that. I like to reuse and repurpose. So all the bikes and ridey things are now over here. I didn't take a very good picture, but there's clear space. And guess what can fit into the car now, or into the garage now? Yeah, the car. Here in New England, and especially with a storm coming, this always just kind of slays me. We in New England put all the, again, yesteryear, Island of Misfit Toy, unused, replaced things in our garage. And we just have our $30,000 to $60,000 cars outside in snowstorms and ice storms and wind and hail and leaves and branches and all that. And if we just had a little less, and when we buy something new to replace something like a new coffee maker, try to resist putting the old broken coffee maker in the garage, just get rid of it. But if we use our spaces more intentionally as they're intended to be used, it just, I think it again, serves us better. Now here's a little bit of a different project. This is my client, Joe, and this is his home office. Now, can I just say, you know how I said my clients have more than enough space? This is a 3-section, 1, 2, 3 section with lower drawers and upper cabinets. It's from IKEA. It's one of the nicest systems I've ever seen. Now, what a lot of people fall victim to is their drawers and cabinets are so stuffed with like irrelevant, obsolete, outdated stuff that all the important stuff starts piling up. And then it's just like the house of cards and it's hard. So what we did is we spent time going through every drawer, the destination space first. Literally, all these were empty boxes. In my world, there is no reason to keep an empty box, honestly. Just if you feel you must keep an empty box, flatten it and like put it somewhere out of the way. But it just holds air and takes up space. So we went through everything, cleared out destination space, shredded, recycled things like Leechmere bills, Bay Bank. You remember all that? Like literally those were in there. So now we have clear destination space for the important stuff to go in. Now, I also want to call your attention to this little unit here. Awesome for like office supplies, tucks right under. There it is. It was here the whole time, just not being used. So what Joe has done is he's made a pledge, an appointment in his calendar once a month to go through the surfaces and make sure things get filed or shredded or recycled so that things don't pile up and become a huge problem. Joe carries himself differently. He walks into this office and honest to God, he feels better. He feels more in control. He feels more productive. He's not spinning. It's such a game changer. Now, we also find things all the time when organizing, which is really, really fun. So I'm going to show you the picture, see if you can see it. You see it? Right there in the middle, Joe's wedding ring, wedding band. Joe lost it 7 years before I showed up. Now, this is one of those things, again, back to we burn 55 minutes a day looking for things we know we have, but we can't find. So here's the thing. I mean, like after about a year, when he couldn't find it, Mrs. Joe was like, come on, let's go get another band for you there, honey. So they went out and spent money on a new band. So there's that redundant kind of cost of having so much stuff that you can't find what you need. Now, this was just like such a feel-good moment. You know, it made them both so happy to find that. So that was a huge bonus to our organizing project. I've got one more to show you, and this is my client, Sarah. Again, one of the nicest playrooms with lots of storage. There's a vertical, horizontal, and there's another vertical. I'm not a very good photographer, you might have noticed, but there's a whole other vertical over here on the right. So she has two little kids, little ones, like, I don't know, they're like 3 and 6, like they're little. And this is in the basement too, and they never wanted to go to the playroom without Sarah. They just didn't feel comfortable. And they would walk in and they'd sort of just like, I don't know, kind of like hydroplane and sort of touch things, but they never really got into playing. It was overwhelming, overstimulating. So we went through and we filled my car, I have a big SUV, twice with donations. Awesome. She sold a few kind of higher value things. Again, awesome. And, you know, she's the mom. She knows what they're into, what they're not playing with. So now they land in this space. And first of all, they're comfortable going down there without her. It's not as overwhelming. And they play more thoroughly with the things they're able to touch. They're like, oh, cool. Yeah, there's my truck. Okay, I'm going to go play with that. So it's just a game changer. Now, I will tell you, of course, it never looks exactly like the after picture every day, but they're keeping up with it, and it never looks like the picture on the left, the before. Now, we've talked about too big is too big, too much of a good thing, too big is too big, and too many choices. Here's too much of a good thing. Tupperware and electronics components. These things tend to, I swear, you close the cabinet door and then they breed and multiply overnight. But the thing is, Tupperware, we don't need every conceivable size and shape for every conceivable. Well, what if it's cake? What if it's lasagna? What if it's spaghetti? Like, what if it's soup? Just have a couple of round, a couple of rectangle, make sure they're in good shape with covers, and you're fine. If they're broken, stained, orphans, tops without bottoms, bottoms without tops, just recycle them. It's a beautiful thing. Turn them into something the world can use today. Now, a lot of people get really hung up on the electronics. I don't know, I might need it someday. Well, I can pretty much tell you that you don't need your BlackBerry charger anymore because that's out of business. And an iPhone, 6 recharger is not the same as a 13. So a lot of this stuff gets obsolete super, super fast. You can bring this stuff to Staples, to their tech desk, drop it off free. They will recycle the parts. It's an awesome way to get rid of it. And a lot of towns and communities also have, usually about twice a year, electronic recycling days. So take advantage of those. Too busy. So over the 12 years I've been working with clients to declutter and organize and simplify, I've discovered that I hear almost every time that I'm just too busy to keep on top of the organizing. I just don't have enough time. So Dolly Parton has a quote that I love. She says, "Never get so busy making a living that you forget to make a life." And like when I think back about it, you guys, that was me back in the corporate 6-figure grinding, clawing. Like I was so focused on the making a living that I really wasn't making a life. So here's one thing, you can throw it into the chat if you want, but tell me if you're one of these 3 types of people. So type 1, you have nothing but time. I mean, you've got gobs and gobs of time, more time than you even know what to do with. You can get everything done every day, all the time in the world. Let me know if you're a type 1. Now, usually I get in an audience, I usually get like 1 or 2 hands. Now, who here feels like they're type 2, which is, oh my God, I mean, there is just barely enough hours in the day. I'm getting some things accomplished, but not everything. I kind of feel like I'm spinning, kind of like treading water, and my head is just above water. Like I have just barely enough time. Right? Who feels like they are a type 3, which is, good God, there are not enough hours in the day. I can never get anything done. My to-do list is longer at the end of the day than at the beginning. I'm drowning. I don't even know what to do. Like I need like 4 or 5 more hours every day. Who feels like a type 3? Now, the truth is we all get exactly the same 24 hours a day. I don't get more than Robert. Robert doesn't get more than you. We all have the same 24 hours. And the thing is, like, I can't roll over. If I didn't use 2 hours yesterday, I can't roll them over and get 26 hours today. When they're gone, they're gone. And the thing is, like, if the magic is we have to decide how to use our time. Because believe me, if we don't, there are plenty of people around us who are going to decide for us. Our spouse, our kids, our friends, our boss, our clients. If we don't get really clear on how we want to use our time, everybody's going to have us running ragged. I do a whole workshops called Mastering the Art of Saying No, Creating Boundaries, because this is such an important topic. And this kind of stuff is what leads a lot of times to the piles in the corner or the attic that's just completely crammed. But I believe that like once we decide and believe in what really matters to us, how we want our lives to be, how we want to use our time, we can say yes to those things by saying no to everything else. But it's a big topic. Now, let's talk about kind of like the steps or keys to simplifying, things to think and to keep in mind. So starting with number one, I think we kind of all know like that we're supposed to organize and declutter and maybe even how, like make a pile of toss and keep, but the why is the key, so much more important than the how. Why do you want to live with less? Why are you looking for more simplicity and less clutter? Why? So just to give you an example, I had a client, Lisa, and her why was, I need less friction and arguing in this house, and I need more harmony. Because she and her husband had 3 little girls, and they just would, when they were together, all they would do was argue about it. And the kids felt it too, and you know, they would act out, and like it just was like she needed more harmony. And so by having less choices for the kids and, you know, more time not picking up everything, you know, they did get more harmony. And then, oh, Maureen, my client Maureen loved to entertain. She was the like neighborhood family entertainer. Everybody was always at her house. And then some things happened to her life. She got divorced, some health issues, and just everything sort of fell apart. Like, and she really, had a lot of clutter came into her home. So when she was ready, we worked together, and she would always keep that why. I want to feel proud enough to invite people over and entertain again, to share my home with friends and families. And that was her why. And that gets you through the hard work of deciding and letting go by keeping that why. So less is not nothing. Listen, no one says you have to get rid of it all. I'm not going to say, I don't pull up with a dumpster and again say, Robert, sorry, not 40 socks, but only 10. You decide. This is your life. This is your area. You decide what you want in your life, what matters, what's enough. And it enables you to use and enjoy it more. The third one, so slow and steady change is always more sustainable than like a fast and furious attempt. So like, for instance, if you say you want to run a marathon, 26 miles, you don't go out day one and run 26 miles, okay? You run 1 mile the first day, and then maybe, you know, a couple days later, you run 1.5 miles, okay? But also, organizing, simplifying, all that, it is not a one-time event with a period at the end of it. Consider it more of like an adventure, a path, a life's journey, something you continue to revisit. And every time you revisit an area, maybe 2 years ago you did the basement, but 2 years later you come back and you look at it with a little bit more of a critical lens. So it's ongoing. And the fourth, that small progress is still progress, absolutely. Taking things in small bites instead of like hijacking an entire weekend and like totally organizing your closet. Just start by taking 20 minutes and do the shoes, just the shoes. I'm only looking at shoes in my closet. Keep, toss, 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 keep, sell. And in 20 minutes, bam, you're done. And then maybe the next day, you know, the kids aren't going to be home for 30 minutes. So you go in and you do, I'm just doing pants. I'm only looking at pants, and you go through the process. You string enough of those little successes together and you have a major transformation, but in an iterative way, not hijacking your whole weekend. And then number 5, ooh, this comes from Courtney Carver. She's another, like Peter Walsh, one of these sort of thought leaders. She has this book called Soulful Simplicity. Courtney Carver, awesome book. And what she says is, holding on is harder than letting go. And you guys, this is 100% true. You have to hold on every single day. You have to hold on with paying for items with your money, your time, your space, your attention, your emotion. You have to step over things and arrange and rearrange and shove and unshove and make accommodations for, and like the negative energy that comes from all that stuff. Holding on is hard, but you let go just once and it is completely free. See how we're doing on time. Ooh, 10 minutes. Okay, so what do you get when you simplify? I mean, you just get so much. You get, clarity about your life and how you want your life and your space to be. Space, like physically, you get more space, and the thing is, when there's less clutter, like you see and enjoy the things that you do have and you use them more. Health, they say that people, who lead a more simplified life tend to be healthier, more mindful of stress that they allow into their life, what they put into their bodies, how they move their bodies. Presence, hello, that was a big one, remember, for me with my mom. Relationships, again, sometimes you can start to sort of cull some of those, negative or toxic or relationships that don't serve you. Life is short, y'all. Surround yourself with people who, align with you. And then joy, a quick example, Olivia, she got divorced, moved from a huge 4-bedroom house to a 2-bedroom condo, brought almost everything with her. So when we started working together, she was just so boxed in and overwhelmed. After months of really working, she had such clear space and such clarity in her life that she was able to adopt 2 little black cats. They never would have survived in the place prior. Not that it was hoarder at all, but it was not conducive to freedom and space. So she has so much joy in her life from those 2 cats. And just appreciation, the less you have, the more you appreciate everything you have. So, the whole enough thing, it's a thread that goes through everything. When you are able to say, I do enough, I have enough, and I am enough, I think that's a great place to strive to be. Now, if you want to get connected, you can hop onto my simplifywitheileen.com website. There's a little pop-up. I'll show you what it looks like. It says sign up for organization tips. If you sign up in the next, let's say by Saturday night, midnight, sign up. I'm going to send you 10 tips on simplifying that they're great tips that you can use, implement, and really get started on your simplifying journey. So if you have any questions, you can always email me too, but I hope that we all can kind of really think about saying yes to less and really making 2022 a change year for yourself, even better.
So Eileen, thank you so much. We do have a couple of questions, and I encourage folks to get their questions in. We'll take 5 to 10 minutes of questions. Janet asks, paper is my kryptonite. Any quick tips?
So paper, first of all, we live in a world where paper is no longer really as necessary as it used to be. I encourage people to have your bank statements, get them paperless, online or emailed to you. Your financial statements, those people kill so many trees by those monthly financial, investments. Get them online, pay bills online. Honestly, we can find anything we need online. So there's less of a need to hold on to paperwork. But if you're going to tackle it, Janet, start a pile at a time or a drawer at a time. The sort of like the closet. Take little bites, get a success, and then move on to the next one. And you'll see the progress and it will fuel you. But really try and get off the paper habit. In our world today, it's just not as important as it used to be. Okay.
Teresa asks, how do you put these ideas into practice during pandemic times with shortages, supply chain issues, and rising prices? I seem to be stocking up more these days, although she wouldn't consider it hoarding.
I honestly think the stocking up thing, I think there was one point early on in the pandemic where there like toilet paper was not available. But like, I don't think it will serve us. I don't think this whole thing is going to be a way of life. I think we just need to have what serves us, our life, and our space today. You know, again, too much is too much. I think when we start stockpiling, that, you know, it's a slippery slope. And then we're in our little pandemic space and we're crowded and we're, you know, everything's so narrow because we have all this stuff. And that stuff, honestly, it creates problems. So like, again, you're going to be stepping over, or where do I put it? Just trust that, you know, you know, again, you don't need like, do I need like the freezer quart bags and the gallon and the sandwich and the snack? Just get a couple of quart bags and you'll be fine. You know, think of things as utility things. You don't need everything for every conceivable scenario. I believe that we will be ill served to stockpile. You know, just keep trying the supermarkets a couple of days, order something on Amazon if you want, but we'll get what we need. I do believe that.
Pamela asks, any ideas as to what to do with all my family photos?
Lord, photos, that's mile 26, y'all. We always do photos last. But okay, the thing is, so family photo, like generations past, like mom's photos and grand's photos, like photos of people you don't even know. The thing is, when we take something, like when we feel this need to clear out mom's basement, you know, we've lost her and it stinks, and all the stuff ends up in our basement. Those were her things, her memories, her experiences, her trips, her people. You know, we're not obligated to assume those. You know, they're just, I believe that they can be let go. Half the time these photos don't even have names on them. So unless you're like really into genealogy and you're going to do the whole thing, honestly, you got your own photos to deal with. So parents and grandparents' photos, they don't last. You'll see time is not kind to them. So I believe that you can take maybe a couple of photographs yourself and start a little album in your phone called, like, you know, mom's photos, but they're not ours. They're not.
And so, Eileen, I think as we approach 12 o'clock, we'll end it there. Do you have any last comments or that you wanted to, any last words you'd like to leave with the group?
Yes. So again, over 12 years, I have built my Chuck muscle, and I promise you, it doesn't make me any less sentimental or emotional or caring or loving or appreciative. I just have recognized that it's never the thing that matters, the photograph, the scarf, the, you know, gift. It's never the thing that matters. It's the memory, the intention, the gesture, the feeling, the sentiment. That's what matters. You'll always have that, even if you don't have the thing.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Eileen. Really appreciate it. Great job as expected. And I, again, want to thank the partnering libraries of Lowell, Manchester, Essex, and Georgetown for helping Tewksbury out this morning. For those on the line, I'll be sending an email out either later today or perhaps over the weekend with a link to a feedback survey and a link to this recording. Please take 30 seconds and fill out the survey. That would be greatly appreciated. Also in that email will be upcoming organizational Zoom webinars that we're hosting here in Tewksbury. So I want to thank everyone so much for joining us. And again, Eileen, wonderful job. I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their day, and yes, enjoys the snow tomorrow.
Thanks, Robert. Thanks, everybody. Take care.
All right, bye all.
Bye.